What's up, Patriots?
Hello, Patriots.
This is Carrie.
And this is Joel.
And we are the Quiet Boys
of Truth. So our last video was a little crazy, but this one we're going to try to be a little more level-headed and get the info out there.
Yeah, no, we were a little goofy, but we had fun.
Absolutely. Yes, always. Always.
We won't be that goofy. We'll try not to be that goofy this time, guys.
But if it happens, it happens.
It happens, yeah. So it's just the way it is. Honestly, though, guys, we have to be able to laugh. You know, because things like really are serious right now. And finding that laughter, I think it's crucial. Like, we have to be able to laugh and realize that
if you can't find humor in life, even in the bad stuff, what's the point?
Yeah. Serious. Like, so we gotta find some laughter. We gotta, help maybe brighten your day a little bit. Just us being little goofballs. Shout out, guys. Thank you to everybody who
big shout out to all of our subscribers, those of you who stayed.
We really appreciate you, and we love you. And yeah, thank you. Okay,
all right, post 4411. Dropped 4th of June 2020 at 3:30 p.m. Fake news shielding Antifa. Bill Barr distinctly calls out Antifa. We have a link to a Twitter account, but first Q says, "The news is fake, the war is real." Let's go check out that account. This tweet comes from Toothless Garbage Person at Honest to Gosh. I freaking love this handle. It is so funny.
Oh my goodness.
They say, hat tip, QAnon, fake news alert. This, we have a link to Business Insider. Let's go check it out. This links us to Business Insider. FBI has no intelligence. FBI has no intelligence indicating Antifa was linked to weakened violence in the George Floyd protests, despite Trump and Republicans' claims. Alright, so it says, the FBI has collected no intelligence indicating that Antifa was involved in violence over the weekend related to protests over the death of George Floyd, a 46-year-old black man who died on May 25th after a white police officer in Minneapolis knelt on his neck for nearly 9 minutes, the Nation reported. So it goes on to say a bunch of malarkey BS crap. And we will link it in the description so you guys can read it. But
Jeez,
the main thing,
that fast, Joel.
I told you I would. It's because the FBI has no intelligence.
Yeah.
Indicating, I meant.
Guys, obviously Antifa was involved.
Antifa was obviously involved.
To weekend violence. Come on, baby.
Antifa was obviously involved. Look at these scumbags, like burning the flag. You know what? If you don't love America, we'll start a fund to give you a one-way ticket to a country that you do love, and we can send you there.
Seriously.
Not a problem. Not a problem.
Get out.
Get the heck out. We want patriots here who love America, who stand for freedom. You're literally spitting in the face of every veteran who has ever fought for this country for the rights that you enjoy.
And this picture
what
right
are
here,
you doing?
This picture is not patriots. This is not the peaceful protesters.
No.
This is Antifa.
Yep, this is Antifa, guys.
Period. Case closed.
Round them up, ship them out. Enjoy Gitmo.
Yeah.
Goodbye. Okay, so the FBI has no intelligence article versus this. Let's take a listen.
At some demonstrations, there are extremist agitators who are hijacking the protests to pursue their own separate and violent agenda. We have evidence that Antifa and other similar extremist groups, as well as actors of a variety of different political persuasions, have been involved in instigating and participating in the violent activity.
We have evidence,
who are exploiting this situation to pursue violent extremist agendas, anarchists like Antifa and other agitators. These individuals...
Yeah, okay, well...
Yeah, so two extremely different narratives being shown here, guys. The contrast is startling.
Quite different indeed.
Yeah. Fake news! Down with fake news.
Well, pretty much every mainstream media outlet is filled with propaganda from the left who are Marxist, socialist, communist pieces of human garbage.
Who hate America.
Yeah, they hate America. You know what, and this gets back to my original point. Why would you want to turn this country that is so amazing into a communist state? If you really want to enjoy communism, go find a country that implements that.
China.
Go to Cuba.
Sorry,
go somewhere.
Seriously.
Go somewhere that has communism. I bet you in 3 days you're going to be screaming to come back.
All right, guys, post 4412 comes to us on the 4th of June at 4:55 p.m. Letter from respected retired Marine blasts Jim Mattis's decision to get political. And we have a tweet here from our president, and Q says we are fighting for our survival. So let's look at that tweet. All right, and our president says, I thought this letter from respected retired Marine and superstar lawyer John Dowd would be of interest to the American people. Read it. Jim, I slept on your statement and woke up appalled and upset. You lost me. Never dreamed you would let a bunch of hack politicians use your good name and reputation, earned with the blood and guts of young Marines. You did what you said you would, engage in this discourse. Marines keep their word. The phony protesters near Lafayette Park were not peaceful and are not real. They are terrorists using idle hate-filled students to burn and destroy. They were abusing and disrespecting the police when the police were preparing the area for the 7 o'clock curfew. Jim, this is the new nihilism. See Dan Henniger in WSJ Today. Marines support the police in harm's way. Did you forget that President Bush used active duty Marines to quell the riots in LA? President Trump has countless cities and some snowflake governors and mayors wetting themselves in the use of force to protect innocent lives and property. The Attorney General of Massachusetts thinks burning property is good protest. 3 more policemen were stabbed and shot in New York City last night. Think about it. Should he be upset about the obvious failure of leadership? Where are you, Jim? Marines, go to the fight. No one divided this country more than Obama. He abandoned our black brothers and sisters. He gave guns to the cartels. He apologized for our precious sacrifice and generosity overseas. You remember, he fired you. President Trump has done more to help our minority brothers and sisters in 3 years than anyone in the last 50. Ask the black pastors. Ask the leaders of the black colleges and universities. He got them funded. Ask them about the prison reform which ended the draconian sentences imposed on young black men by the laws enacted by Biden and his hacks. You need to bone up on your homework and stop listening to Uncle Leon. I understand you had to stick to the assigned narrative, which did not include 3 years of corrupt investigations and evidence to destroy the president, his office, and his lawful free election. Nancy has no tolerance for dissent in the ranks, including those with stars. You said nothing of the ugly, hate-filled, disgraceful comments of Pelosi, Schumer, Perez, and other Democrat hacks defaming the president and his office. You said nothing of the unlawful sanctuary cities and the unlawful release of hoodlums. You said nothing of the resistance movement to paralyze our courts and our government operations. You said nothing of the obstruction and subversion of our immigration laws. You said nothing of MS-13 killers and the drug cartels who own huge sections of our major cities. Jim, do you think that hateful rhetoric and those corrupt actions were inspiring and unifying? Do you think the DIs at Paris Island would find such behavior as unifying? Maybe your problem is a lot deeper. Perhaps you ought to explain how and why you and John Allen, as CG Central Command, did not engage and take out Iranian Major General Soleimani, who roamed the Middle East and wreaked havoc and death of our American boys with his infamous IEDs. Why did it take President Trump to have the instincts and balls to take him out? Of course, over the objection, the geniuses in the Pentagon. Looks like the Persian mullahs were a one-horse sleigh and Trump nailed the horse forever. It has been quiet ever since. Perhaps your anger is born of embarrassment for your own failure as the leader of Central Command. Did you applaud when the president recognized the central problem in the Middle East? Did you applaud the president when he wanted to save American lives by bringing them home in one piece? Damn.
Ha, Jim Mattis, you swampy swamp-ass creature.
I don't know what else to say.
That's pretty heavy when your own people are calling you out for insubordination and you're a general. Ooh, that's gotta hurt, bud. That's gotta hurt.
Whoa.
Hits a lot closer to home than you think. Post 4313 dropped 4th of June 2020 at 5:02 p.m. Some military brass are openly talking about defying the President of the United States. Mutiny. We have the freedom flag there. We've got some links which we will check out in a second, but first Q says, those loyal to our constitutional republic and our command structure, those loyal to the office of the President and the will of the people, those who swore an oath to protect and defend against all enemies, foreign and domestic, those good people who serve proudly for America, Castle Rock, for God and country, Q. Let's go check out those articles. So the first link takes us to Axios.com. Ambassador Cade now becomes 5th Pentagon official to resign in 7 days.
That's interesting.
Ambassador Tina Cadenow, Senior Advisor for International Cooperation, has left the Pentagon, the Department of Defense confirmed to Defense News Wednesday. Why it matters. She's the 5th top official in 7 days to exit or announce their departure from the Pentagon, according to Defense News and The Hill. The big picture. Per the two news outlets, Cadenow left her role on December 16th. It was announced on December 12th that Randall Shriver, the top Asia policy official, would leave his position soon. A day later, Jimmy Stewart, the acting Undersecretary of Defense for Personnel and Readiness, said he was retiring. Stephen Walker, head of the Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency, will leave in January for an industry job, Defense News reported Tuesday. Earlier Wednesday, the Defense Department confirmed to the military news outlet that Carrie Bingen, I don't know how to say that, Principal Deputy Undersecretary of Defense for Intelligence, would step down next month.
So, why are they all leaving the Pentagon?
Probably because of some dirty, shady stuff. Maybe they're being called out because they were planning a mutiny against our president.
Yeah, the 5th Pentagon official
in
to resign
7 days.
In 7 days. Come on, guys.
This tweet comes from Truth Seeker at Call Out for Truth. Sources are telling Dan Bongino that they are genuinely concerned that some upper-level people in our military are openly talking about defying the President of the United States. That's got a name. That's called mutiny. Let's watch this video here.
The President had every right to talk about the Insurrection Act in the U.S. military. What I'm hearing from people is that there are some military brass. This is uncomfortable for me to talk about, but you need to hear it because you need to be warned. And some civilian representatives of the military, undersecretary types and others, who are organizing together and talking about how they're going to either talk the president out of or just simply not obey his orders if the president, God forbid, and again, as I said, it would be a very bad idea now, but if we were to lose an American city using the U.S. military, think about what I just told you. Folks, I've been doing this now. This is episode 1266. Joe's been there with me from episode 1. My wife's been married to me from episode 1. I don't think I've ever told you something as serious as what I just told you. These are not second-rate garbage sources. These are legitimate, real people who are genuinely concerned that some upper-level people in our military are openly talking about defying the President of the United States.
Ooh.
That's got a name. It's called a mutiny.
Yep.
What is this, Venezuela? You don't like the president's decisions about his constitutional authority to use our military to suppress an emergency situation? Then there's a solution for that. It's called an election. It'll be here in November. Not here to tell you who to vote for. You know who I'm voting for. I've been a supporter of the president, and I'll continue to. My vote's not a secret. I'm not telling you who to vote for. But the mere suggestion that the President of the United States is no longer the commander-in-chief and some band of military insiders is somehow...
Wow, that's pretty heavy. You know, folks, I don't know if you know this, but Dan Bongino is former Secret Service. He knows a thing or two about what he's talking about. So what I'm saying here is it's time to wake up. Guys, if you think for 1 second that our president should not have control over our own military who were put together to serve underneath him, you need to think again. Read the Constitution.
Okay, guys, so as we know, President Trump took over the emergency broadcast system sometime in late 2018. Is that right, Joel?
Yeah, somewhere in there.
Okay, so just keeping that in mind, Post 4414 from June 4th at 5:49 p.m., Emergency Action Message, EAM. EAM loyalists. Red 1, POTUS Twitter removal. Red 2, Central Communications blackout, continental U.S. Red 3, class, movement, Pelosi or Pence. Red 4, movement of military assets, 10th Mountain _ 1st Marine _ CPSD _ Marine _ QVIR to central locations under guise of citizen riot control. Red 5, National Military Communication Center. Red 6, Secretary of Defense, instruct 1, USSS Castle _ Rock. Q.
What I'm getting out of this post, are they going to try to censor POTUS? Are they going to try to remove him off Twitter? Because as we know, Twitter has been his back channel around the mainstream media and all their lying.
Well, yeah, exactly.
BS.
That's the only way he's been able to actually get the message out to the American people is through Twitter.
So if that happens, is he going to use the emergency broadcast system to reach patriots?
Well, that would be the only way.
I tend to think so. There's a lot here, and that's what I'm getting out of it, is that he most likely would use the emergency broadcast system to reach the American public, because that's another back channel, and as Q said, back channels are important. Post 4415 dropped 4th of June 2020 at 6:20 p.m. Are Democrats, mainstream media, and former military brass coordinating a staged event? Phony flag. Maybe if I say it slow, we won't get censored. Q says, riot, coordination in the kill box. In select safe zone cities, Democrat control mayors allow staged event, allow former active military brass assertion of unconstitutional, threat to constitution, mutiny. Mainstream media public optics staging underway. Alert readiness, severe critical, Q. Let's go check out those articles there. Okay, so this first link takes us to The Atlantic. James Mattis denounces
Swamp
President
creature.
Trump, describes him as a threat to the Constitution.
That would be James Mattis, swamp creature.
James Mattis, the esteemed Marine General, who resigned as a Secretary of Defense in December 2018 to protest Donald Trump's Syria policy, has ever since kept studiously silent about Trump's performance as president. But he has now broken his silence, writing an extraordinary broadside in which he denounces the president for dividing the nation and accuses him of ordering the U.S. military to violate the constitutional rights of American citizens. So this is a pretty long article, guys, but to sum it up, this guy is going to be part of the staged military mutiny because he is a sleeper cell and he is not a patriot. He's not a patriot. They're just using him because of his position. I don't know how much money they paid him or what they told him or what dirt they might have on him. But he's going to be one of the ones who's going to try to stage a mutiny against our president. Against a sitting president, by the way. Our next article takes us to militarytimes.com. Senior military leaders being called to testify to Congress about George Floyd protest response. Angry lawmakers with sticks up their butts will summon top Pentagon leaders to Capitol Hill next week to explain what role military personnel will play in responding to growing demonstrations of racial unrest in major U.S. cities and whether President Donald Trump has overstepped his authority as Commander-in-Chief. The president is talking about going to war with the citizens of the United States of America, and that is troubling. The House Armed Services Committee Chairman Adam Smith, Democrat, Washington, in a conference call with reporters on Tuesday. I am very concerned about what potential role the U.S. military could play in amplifying this misguided rhetoric. Talking about the United States of America as a battle space is wrong. Well, it's not, when there's an insurgency. It's not when the enemy is behind our gates. We gotta think about this logically, guys. We gotta think about this logically. There is no outside force right now on this planet that can take down the United States military. There is none. To think otherwise, you would be fooling yourself. But we do have the enemy behind our gates, and a lot of the stuff that's been going on in the recent years in our school systems, brainwashing children and young Americans to hate America, is wrong, but it has been going on by professors in our universities who have been paid off by Chinese communists, by Saudi officials, by all sorts of people who want to see America fall, and they know the only way they can do that is try to destroy it from within. Our third link takes us to WashingtonExaminer.com. Pentagon distances itself from Trump on crowd control and laments murder of George Floyd. Defense Secretary Mark Esper delivered a strong condemnation Wednesday of the murder of George Floyd by Minnesota police officers while attempting to distance the Pentagon from politics and President Trump's call to use the military to quell nationwide protests. The killing of George Floyd by Minnesota policemen was a horrible crime, Esper said from the Pentagon podium. The officers on the scene that day should be held accountable for his murder. It is a tragedy that we have seen repeat itself too many times. Esper also distanced himself from Trump by saying he did not support using federal troops to quell protesters. I do not support invoking the Insurrection Act, he said, because he's a sleeper. The option to use active duty forces in a law enforcement role should only be used as a matter of last resort and only in the most urgent and dire situations. We are not in one of those situations now. We'll link the rest of this in the description. Alright, our last link on this Q post takes us to WAPO, the Washington Post. Revolt of the Generals. We do not yet know precisely why Defense Secretary Mark T. Esper publicly broke with President Trump on Wednesday, renouncing the use of the Insurrection Act as a means to deploy the military against civilian demonstrators. We can surmise, however, that the Pentagon brass was finally fed up and prevailed upon Esper to speak out. Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff General Mark Milley, who had accompanied Trump on his march across Lafayette Square, put out a memo on June 2nd which read like a not very subtle rebuke of Trump's attempt to use the military to suppress protesters. Every member of the U.S. military swears an oath to support and defend the Constitution and the values embedded within it. We in uniform, all branches, all components, and all ranks remain committed to our national values and principles embedded in the Constitution. During this current crisis, the National Guard is operating under the authority of state governors to protect lives and property, preserve peace, and ensure public safety. As members of the joint force comprised of all races, colors, and creeds, you embody the ideals of our Constitution. Please remind all of our troops and leaders that we will uphold the values of our nation and operate consistent with national laws and our own high standards of conduct at all times.
So hold on, General Milley is a sleeper?
Well, this is what's going on. I think we have to think optics here. If General Milley was a patriot and he knew that they were going to attempt a mutiny, like Q said, those who you're taught to trust the most. Who do we trust the most to defend our country? Our military. So if they're trying to get all of the bad actors out of the military now, why do you think they did all this stuff now? They did it because they're trying to find all the sleeper cells within the military. If General Milley is in on it, we don't know yet, but if he is in on it, being a white hat, of course he would go along with the rebuke, because he would want to get other generals on his side, be like, yeah, we don't like Trump either, and then he could go, aha, gotcha, 180, 86 him. So, yeah, guys, it was like Dan Bongino was talking about earlier, there are people in the highest levels of our military and government who are going to try to stage a mutiny. And by doing everything Trump's done, those people, those bad actors, are starting to show who they are. We have to get the sleepers out so this country can run clean.
Okay guys, post 4416 from June 4th at 7:47 p.m. Minneapolis City Council President and Democrat Jeremiah Ellison claim they'll dismantle police. We have a Fox News article here, and Q says once again, infiltration instead of invasion. Okay, here's the article. I already read the title, so let's scroll down. Jeremiah Ellison, a Minneapolis City Councilman and son of State Attorney General Keith Ellison, is calling for the dismantling of the Minneapolis Police Department, following days of nationwide protests over the death of George Floyd, and he soon got the support of the city council's president. "We are going to dismantle the Minneapolis Police Department," Jeremiah Ellison tweeted Thursday, "and when we're done, we're not simply going to glue it back together. We are going to dramatically rethink how we approach public safety and emergency response. It's really past due." City Council President Lisa Bender, a fellow Democrat, later replied, "Yes, we are going to dismantle the Minneapolis Police Department and replace it with a transformative new model of public safety." It's not clear how they would dismantle the police department, but lawmakers did not elaborate. Floyd died May 25th while in police custody during an arrest. A video of a Minneapolis police officer kneeling on his neck for nearly 9 minutes has unleashed calls to address criminal justice reform and police brutality, as well as civil unrest in several cities across the country. Many protesters have also called for lawmakers to stop increasing funds to police departments and enact legislation to hold officers accountable. Jeremiah Ellison posted his remarks in response to a user asking if any elected officials were brave enough to take on the police in their city or state. Days after Floyd's death, he tweeted in support of Antifa, an anti-fascist movement comprised of loose-knit groups that have drawn criticism for physical violence against far-right supporters and figures. They're not just inciting physical violence against far-right supporters and figures, guys. They are just out there creating total chaos and havoc. They're basically being violent toward anyone who gets in their way. "I hereby declare officially my support for Antifa," Jeremiah Ellison tweeted May 31st. "Unless someone can prove to me Antifa is behind the burning of Black and immigrant-owned businesses in my ward, I'll keep focusing on stopping the white power terrorists." What? Are actually attacking us.
Learn words, dude, and how to use them.
On Wednesday, Keith Ellison's office upgraded the charges against the officer seen pinning his knee on Floyd's neck to second-degree murder and charged the other 3 officers involved, Thomas Lane, J.A. King, and Tao, each with each with 2 counts of aiding and abetting and second-degree murder.
Post 4417 dropped 4th of June 2020 at 9:14 p.m. Our country is on fire. We need the National Guard and military protecting our cities now. Q says, remember your oath, remember why you joined. It's about the person standing next to you. Let's go look at that Twitter account. Okay, this is another one from our sister patriot, Carly Q at Carluska P. She says, damn! Sound on. Let's take a listen.
Is that the nation is panicking. 71% of us want the National Guard in our cities tonight. 58% of us want the military in our cities tonight. All right, the people are panicking. The country is on fire. Now, who is attacking us? Mr. Esper should know this. It's Antifa, Department of Justice, NYPD. Others are saying this very clearly. These are people, by the way, that we faced back in the 1960s and 70s and early 80s. These were people who were far leftist, Marx, Lenin, folks who embraced that ideology. They allied with Black Panther movements, and it took many years to finally put it down. Very dangerous. And now this same group, who is allied, by the way, with the Democratic Socialists, we're talking the Bernie Bros and Ms. Ocasio-Cortez, they're back. They're back with firebombs. They're back with bricks in our suburbs and our downtowns.
They're probably in
That's
the
something that Mr. Esper
groups.
clearly doesn't understand.
I mean, the rioting
And then finally,
groups.
we have a media that is feeding this flame, this horrific fire, this seditiousness. You have brought this up many times, including tonight. Let me read a headline from Slate magazine. Just yesterday, it said the following. Peaceful protests are an important tool, but so is violence. So now we have a media filling the airways full of this crap. Yeah. Put it all together. And the piece that you mentioned, no more police, because we're going to defund those folks. We can't put forward the National Guard because that would be escalation. So now we take off the military from the table. What does that leave, Tucker? Let me tell you what it leaves. Vigilante justice. That's exactly. It's you and me and everybody watching this program arming ourselves. Is that how we run a republic? No, sir, it is not. And you do not want a country that goes there. And that is precisely where the nation is headed. And we need for all of our leadership to understand that. And if Secretary Esper doesn't get it, doesn't understand that the oath is to protect
to step
ourselves
down.
from threats both foreign and domestic. By God, get the hell out of the Pentagon and let somebody lead who gets it. Because that is the oath that he took, that I took, and that the people of this country demand of our leadership in this moment, because we are on fire. Someone do something about it. I could.
Wow. Yeah, get out of the way, Esper. Get out of the way. You're looking like a sleeper.
Okay, guys, post 4418, June 4th, 9:26 p.m. God's power was in DC last night, so we're finally getting around to that tweet that shows us the video of the crazy lightning in Washington, DC. Q says biblical. Now, this is the lightning that not only did it hit the top of the Washington Monument, but it also hit the ground in the shape of a Q. And here it is from Dan Scavino, Tonight in DC. This is from June 4th. There's that Q.
Wow. That is crazy.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy. Post 4419, drop 4th of June 2020 at 10:33 p.m. We've got a little graphic here. What is that? What the f*** is that? And then we've got another picture reposted and showing the Q-shaped lightning. Anon on the board says, I've never seen lightning do that before. Q says, have faith.
All right, post 4420 came to us on June 4th at 10:38 p.m. DC Mayor Bowser is evicting National Guard from DC hotels. They want the Capitol defenseless. And Q says, do you see what is happening? Let's check out that Twitter account. So this comes from Mike Lee. Senator Mike Lee just heard that Mayor Bowser is kicking the Utah National Guard out of all DC hotels tomorrow. More than 1,200 troops from 10 states are being evicted. This is unacceptable.
Wow. Yeah, I tell you. I'm starting to think that DC Mayor Bowser is kind of corrupt.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, this is our last post for June 4th. 4421 dropped 4th of June 2020 at 11:14 p.m. Organizers say 1 million are coming to protest in DC this weekend. Q asks, do you see what is happening? Let's go check out that Twitter account. Okay, this tweet comes from Harlan Z. Hill at Harlan. Organizers say 1 million people are coming to protest in DC this weekend. If coronavirus is really as dangerous as the media claimed just 3 weeks ago, this is basically a biological attack on the nation's capital. Holy guacamole. I never looked at it that way, but yeah, you'd be right. Huh. Wow.
Well, let's just take down all the fences around the White House.
How about no? How about no? And that's crazy. All right, Patriots. So that'll end it for the June 4th Q posts. We have a lot better internet now, so hopefully we will be uploading a lot faster and be able to stay in touch.
Yeah,
a lot
hopefully
quicker.
get actually caught up pretty soon.
I'm thinking so. All right, but also wanted to thank you for our current subscribers for being with us, and if you are new here, please sub. And don't forget to hit that like button, toggle the little notification bell so you're notified when we drop new videos. And as always, don't forget, where we go one, we go all. Good night, Patriots.